Sunrise Extra on this Thursday. And yes, we are starting with a live picture, if you were watching us here at 7 a.m. of the sun today from our Stoller family vineyard and estates camera there in Dayton, and a mild morning this morning, but soon it's going to be what, 70s in the morning?
Yeah, so this is probably the last morning in quite some time where we have widespread 50s to start the day, so people will take advantage of that.
20 degrees warmer as an overnight low.
I know.
That's crazy.
Yeah. One of the records that I think is absolutely likely to fall, the warmest overnight low in the month of June is 71. And for example, I think we could wake up to 75 Sunday morning. So I expect that all-time record to fall. The all-time record for June, the hottest temperature we've ever had in Portland in the month of June is 102. That looks to be a slam dunk that record will be absolutely smashed. And then the biggest headline is that all-time record, and this is all reporting sites. The hottest downtown location, which has been KGW for a number of years, we've taken over that historic location for the record, is 106. Now PDX has hit 107 3 times, and that's hotter than the old airport locations going back into the 1800s. So we've never been more than 107. And I'm saying this morning, I think it's a 65 to 70% likelihood that we will at least get up to 108 on Sunday. People on their phones are seeing like 110, 111, 112. So here's the deal. So as a forecaster, the main indice we look at two things to forecast heat waves. To hit 100 degrees, you have to completely shut off in Portland. You have to shut down that west flow coming in from the Pacific. Can't have any west wind. If you have the west winds blowing, the temperature will lock in the 90s, no matter how hot the heat dome is inland. That's just the way it works. So you have to have a strong enough east wind to keep the Pacific out of it. And then you go by the heat dome temperature overhead. Now, heat dome temperatures, we look at a Celsius temperature at 5,000 feet in the atmosphere, and then we know how to mix that down to what the ground temperature would be. So at Celsius, our hottest days in the past, when we've hit like 104, 105, 106, are like plus 25 degrees Celsius at 5,000 feet. The modelers are showing plus 30 degrees Celsius. And my point is, as forecasters, we have never seen air mass temperatures or profile indices ever. We've never seen them as high as the modeling is showing for this coming weekend. Never seen it.
And you know, one of the things that just blows me away is that usually there's at least one place that you can go to kind of beat the heat. And when you said that government camp on Sunday was going to be 94, I was like, what?
And the beach could be that warm. Astoria, Seaside. Seaside's one of those spots at the coast because of the topography and the way their wind direction usually is. Seaside can be one of those just bullseye hot spots at the beach. I would expect them to be mid-90s. Timberline Laws, our live camera there looking up at the summit, they'll be in the 80s on Sunday. We had over 100 people during the noon show. Remember, Brenda, I showed this camera on the noon show. I think it was yesterday. They had over 100 people on the Palmer Snowfield skiing.
Yes, I do remember that. Oh, doesn't the coast look nice?
So that's going to be hot. So, about 20 years ago, I kind of developed a passion or a hobby, however you want to call it, of climatology, just keeping track of changing patterns and what's going on in our area. So this is my file from the heat waves of 09 and 15.
Old school. Yesteryear.
And then this is my actual forecast sheet, the one that I would have filled out and used with me when I worked Tuesday, July 28th of 2009. This has all the indices of that was the day they hit 106. Now, I saved these for historic areas or points in history because I have the indices that the modeling was showing. So that day, it showed what we call pressure height at 18,000 feet in the atmosphere, 590. That's an incredibly high pressure ridge right overhead. This one this weekend, the index is 494. That's substantially hotter. It shows we had an 850 temp. I just talked about this, so plus 25. Again, Sunday, it's plus 30. This showed a surface trough over the Cascades. The surface trough this time, which is kind of the bullseye line of where the thermal line sits up in the lower levels of the atmosphere, that was over the Cascades when we hit 106 on Tuesday back in July of 09. That same trough is right over the Coast Range or Willamette Valley Sunday. That too would indicate hotter. Everything I look at says we will be at least 2, 3, 4, 5 degrees hotter on Sunday than we were on that Tuesday back in July of 09 when we hit 106. So if the east wind holds, We really ought to hit 110. We really should. In terms of a meteorologist and how we look at these things and how we figure them.
We're like Phoenix North.
Yeah,
really.
It's now Phoenix
Absolutely
North.
crazy.
I got a question for you. I'm monitoring everyone on YouTube. Good morning, all that are watching. Brian is asking, could there be thunderstorms early next week?
Early next week. Right now, not in our area. Right now, where's my current?
That means the valley,
Tell me about my
right?
current forecast sheet. Oh, I did. Did I? Did I not bring my I did.
I don't know. You've got 2009 papers, which is impressive.
I didn't. Well, I wanted to double check something to make sure I'm answering him correctly. So just when I looked at right now as a forecaster, I'm totally zoned in. Please understand just how hot it's going to be this weekend.
Right.
Meaning once we get past this weekend, I haven't looked at a lot of things in maybe the same detail that I would. But with that said, there's no moisture fields showing up at least through Wednesday of next week. Mm-hmm. And there's no upper level low. We had an upper level low that was off the southern Oregon coast. That's the reason we had the spotty thunderstorms in central and eastern Oregon the last couple of days. That low has now moved far enough south, dissolved. I don't see any trigger. So I want to say odds favor, at least through Wednesday of next week, of there being no lightning or storm chance. He may be referring, if he's a weather buff, there's an upper level weak low that comes in Monday, Tuesday. It's off of the coast. It looks like it's a heat low, but it doesn't look like there's enough moisture available that would significantly trigger any storm. So I think right now I'd say no.
I love to hear you geek out because I am not sciencey at all. So I love to see the wheels turning and how intense you get. All I want is the final result. I'm like, got it. But it is interesting to hear how you arrive at these things. Yeah. Veronica on the stream also wants to know, how hot do you think it'll get in Willamina, Sheridan, and Grand Ronde?
So Grand Ronde, well, I mean, all those areas are what? Kind of the Western Valley getting up into the Coast Range. I mean, I would say you're at least on Sunday going to be 105, at least, in those areas, even up in, Grand Ronde it's up in elevation a little bit. There's a little climb, but we all know it also sits in kind of a flat plateau. Mm-hmm. So that will have the tendency to be kind of a heat bubble for the elevation it sits at. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Boy, we have a list of cooling centers. Multnomah County is opening 3 of them starting tomorrow for the next, 3-4 days. There's one at the Convention Center, you see. There's one at there's one at, what is that called? The one on North Lombard. I forget what the name of it is. In Gresham, the Sunrise Center on East Burnside in Gresham. They're all open 1 to 9 p.m. Friday to Monday. If you do need a ride there, call 211 for transportation.
The Arbor Lodge shelter on North
I knew it was an A.
Lombard. Yeah, no, you're
So those are the
right.
ones in Multnomah County. I know we also have a graphic of some ones in Southwest Washington and Clark County as well. We'll work to get that. Here it is. Got it. Our good director, Brian, at Furstenberg Community Center, Marshall Community Center, Battleground Community Center, the Camas Library, Washougal's Library and Community Center as well. So a lot of libraries, have been obviously closed through the pandemic. Many of these community centers as well. But, this is Dr. Jennifer Vines, our Tri-County Health Officer.
Yep.
She said, for this weekend, heat is going to kind of take over COVID for a second, and we need to get people cool.
For the people who don't have AC, for the people who may be vulnerable, that could be deadly. And that's why they're trying to put the warnings out now. Know where you can go if you don't have AC and you need to get cool.
And understand, had some people, someone always, I'm just going to say mouths off on social media. I had somebody mouth off on, you guys it's not going to be that high, you're making a big deal, you're blowing this out of proportion. All that, I think that's
it happens with snow
when
too,
when we talk
about
understand,
it,
every single year in our country, 2 of the biggest killers of weather phenomenon deaths are, in fact, extreme cold, which typically, significantly extreme cold kills more people in our country every year than extreme heat, typically, historically anyway. But anytime you put a human, I think this is a fair statement, into a weather environment that they're simply not used to, and we're simply not used to this type of heat day in and day out over a number of days. And for people that have some health ailments and don't have AC, as you mentioned, this will be an absolute hardship.
Yeah, a lot of older buildings don't have it, or we've been hearing from a couple of viewers and one of our own producers, people live in an apartment building, and for liability reasons, they don't want tenants installing their own window units and having that potentially fall out on the sidewalk. So they say no window units. You can get They make, all kinds of different air conditioners, standalone ones that are kind of tower situations or, box ACs, but they don't want those window units for, potential accidents. And so, and if you can find an AC unit right now, you're lucky.
I bet.
Out of stock in a lot of stores.
fans are getting hard to find now too.
Here's another question for you, Rod. This is Cancy Hess. Will the humidity be high, like that sticky no breeze heat?
The lowest humidity day will be Sunday, because that's the day we expect to have the strongest east winds. East winds can produce kind of desert single-digit humidity. So I would say humidities in the afternoon on Sunday may be in the teens. Tomorrow the humidity will be a little up, and that just raises the question that if you're outdoors doing something, it may feel hotter to you Saturday than Sunday, simply because Saturday the humidity levels could be up by at least a factor of 10% or more than Sunday.
Somebody was asking, what do they do at cooling centers? It's basically just a big air-conditioned place. They have, movies playing, card games, different kind of activities, refreshments,
water
snacks.
and stuff.
And with COVID, those will all kind of probably be individually wrapped and different precautions. But it's basically a place to hang out and chit chat with people, or bring your laptop, get some work done, or who knows.
Back in the day when we'd get the occasional really hot day, people would either head to the coast or they'd head pre-pandemic to the movie theater. Any place where you can just for a few hours, or to the mall, that type of thing.
The grocery store frozen food aisle. When I worked in Michigan is another one of those northern latitude states, as we are, where for decades and decades, a lot of home construction simply did not put in AC, right? So I know a lot of people when I worked in Grand Rapids, Michigan, they would tell stories about, we were meeting some friends at the frozen food aisle in the grocery store, and they would spend Saturday afternoon just kind of hanging out.
That's funny.
The other thing we should mention is the burn ban that's in effect for a lot of counties, because those poor firefighters, they're doing everything that they can to contain and prevent. So do yourself a favor. There are some exceptions,
all
like
that gear and wearing the hot clothes,
some things on private property, but for the most part, there's just a flat out.
You can't even have like
why would you want to
a decorative fire pit lit, in Multnomah County right now, and probably Clackamas as well.
We don't run our sprinkler system. We haven't since we moved in. And I said to Jeff, I was like, maybe you should just turn it on just in case we have some knucklehead doing something. And my daughter texted me. She goes, the sprinkler's on. She's thinking something's malfunctioning.
Oh yeah, you're like, no,
no. Like fire danger. I'm just thinking wet things down just a little bit.
Can we didn't. I don't think we mentioned this morning on the news. Maybe we did. We certainly will be over the weekend. But this area has a horrible track record, as you locals know, of people drowning in our rivers on these hot weekends.
Absolutely.
It's a really unfortunate thing that I just think people neglect the fact that rivers are moving water. They have different currents, and the rivers can be dangerous. You really need to be cautious and know what you're doing. And clearly, people will be, flooding to the area waterways this weekend. So just keep that in mind. The old safety, you don't jump into a body of water if you don't know for certain how deep it is and what the bottom is. If you're not a strong swimmer, you probably shouldn't be going in over your head. You probably just shouldn't be, right?
Absolutely.
And of course, alcohol and swimming, never a good idea.
Right. And a lot of it's snow melt, and you get that shock,
and the temperatures are still cold.
It is.
Renee McKee says, be safe, everyone, and stay hydrated. Words to live by.
That's very
sure.
Somebody was saying, Cancy Hess says she saw some small AC units at Walmart. Check in advance before going there, so call ahead, but she saw a few.
Oh, Willie Huey, you always make me smile no matter what we're talking about. People already tell me I'm hot, like often, so this poses an issue for me.
All right.
It sounds kind of like you when you wanted to adopt the nickname Hot Rod.
Oh, yeah.
If you didn't watch yesterday, I was showing the 7-day behind me. I said, you can call me Hot Rod because of the hot temperatures.
Oh, boy.
And I was going for a moment. And my comrades here at the desk just shot it down. We're not going for
shocked into silence
at all.
Gene Camp, Rod says, how hot in Clackamas out of the 3 days? Sunday, the hottest?
Again, Sunday, the hottest day. And I just think it would be, assuming the east wind fields hold, it would be shocking for anybody to not get up to at least 105. on Sunday in the Willamette Valley in general and up through southwest Washington in general. Yeah.
Do you know, I don't even know if you know this or have a way to find out, is there a website that says like what the water temperature is?
There is. I don't have the URL in my head memorized.
What would I type?
But, well, if you go to if you go to weather.gov, that's easy. Weather.gov is the home page. It brings up a national map for the National Weather Service. And if you take your cursor, you simply go into the map and you click over Portland. And that should bring you into the local weather office. And from, okay, now from there, see where it says rivers and lakes? So right up here, dear. Rivers and lakes.
Mm-hmm. While you're looking up
do that.
Director Brian just put up the stay safe in the heat graphic. Hydrated, obviously. Avoid caffeine. I'm starting the day out wrong because I've got a big thing of coffee here. It says never leave children or pets in the cars, even with the windows cracked if you have a dog or, that you're taking somewhere. Wear loose, light clothing. Avoid dark colors. Postpone outdoor activities. Check on seniors, people who need assistance. And shade, people. Shade where you can get it. That makes a huge difference.
By the way,
What are you guys going to do?
You can't leave your
Stay in the AC.
Yeah.
You can't leave your dog in the car for even 5 seconds this weekend.
No.
You can't do it. You just cannot
Leave your dog at home.
do it. Can't do it.
He doesn't want to go with you.
Can't do it.
Right?
Stay inside.
You know what? I'm not going to find that.
Okay.
And now I think about it. There is a site, and try your luck at Googling. It's not as easy to find as you would think it would be, but there is a site. It gives you the water temperatures in Celsius, so you will have to.
That doesn't help anyone.
You will have to. Well, I mean, so if you do ballpark Celsius, it's basically what? Celsius is a little bit more than 2 degrees. Or right around 2 degrees for 1 degree of Fahrenheit. It's not exactly, but it'll give you a ballpark figure.
Mark says these heat waves occur more often now, even though this one is severe. What happened to the tepid summers around 2012? Right? Do you remember when it used to be kind of like the joke was
got it, you guys.
Summer only starts after the 4th of July
and you never
in the Pacific Northwest?
You never thought about watering your lawn until after July 4th. You just never did. We always had enough rain, enough cool, cloudy, kind of 70-degree days in June that the yards stayed green and everything was lush until we got into July.
And so Catherine, sorry.
I found the Willamette Valley river temperature right now is about 71 degrees.
You did find it in Fahrenheit, didn't you? Yeah. So that's warming up.
About 71.
I mean, 71, that's anything under 70 to the body is really cold feeling. And 70's chilly, but it's doable if it's sunny and warm outside. Mm-hmm. Yeah, remember the Willamette's been getting up into the 80s, like late July, early August, as of past summers.
And Catherine is asking you, Rod, how hot will Eugene be this weekend, please?
So it doesn't look any hotter from south to north, from Eugene to Portland. All those temperatures, give or take a degree, are the same. And I'm going to say again, Eugene, I just don't know how you wouldn't reach 105. I think that's the low end of the spectrum. And then the question is, how much hotter does your individual area get above that?
Erica Daniels says we're going to be praying for a rainy 4th of July, LOL.
Grant, who is one of the editors in the newsroom, and he came up to me and he said, is it going to be like this 90s the rest of summer? What's going to go on? You know how we all think, right? And I said, number one, it does look possible that we will be in the low 90s starting next Tuesday and then continuing with most days 90, 93 all the way through the July 4th weekend. If that happens, that would put together the longest consecutive stretch of 90 or better in the record books. But with that said, we have this incredible heat dome. So the jet stream is like whoop, whoop, doming over us. So the way the atmosphere works, if you have a big extreme buckle in the flow pattern, we call that, often whenever that works itself out, you will get a bit of a period of opposite weather in the back end. So I like our odds of having a stretch of at least a week to 10 days of some comfortable weather, say around July 10th, if you will. I like those odds. We'll see if that comes true. Yeah, that's a beautiful shot from our Timberline camera. That's Jefferson in the middle of your screen looking down south.
Yeah, Renee Robertson just chiming in on that conversation. It used to be June gloom back in the day.
Yeah. But one of the things that's, again, you can have your argument about why the climate is warming. But the fact of the matter is, unless you are a conspiracy theorist and you believe that every single piece of data from NOAA and the National Weather Service is being made up, and you can believe what you want to believe. But unless you believe that, the fact is that we are absolutely in an historic warming period. Now, we can have the argument another day or a different time as to why that is. But our patterns are changing. When I moved here in '99 and started my forecast work in Portland, our predominant weather flow pattern pretty much all year really was a northwesterly pattern. That's slowly being replaced by a dominant southwesterly pattern. That's why we have more humid days. That's why lightning strikes are on the rise, because that's a more unstable weather pattern. And, you know, we all learned in elementary school, what's a hotter day? A day with a south wind or a north wind? Well, the day with the south wind, of course.
Ooh, yeah, duh.
So, and that's why we're starting to get these hotter days, too. We have more of these south wind patterns coming.
You teach me something every day.
It is changing without question. And every single thing, the eyeball test, when climate change was first being talked about by climatology scientists, back in the 1980s was the decade that this really started to make headlines. All these things, the eyeball test says all these things that these scientists back in the 80s said that a warming climate would lead to, almost every single one of them is coming true. Almost every single one. The seemingly, now, again, you can doctor statistics to make the story almost anything you want the outcome to be. You just can't. But the eyeball test says that we are seeing a higher number of significant storms in our country. And here in most areas, especially here in our area, the numbers are undeniable. Overnight lows are up. Daytime highs are up. Overnight lows are up more than daytime highs, by the way, if you're wondering. Again, I mentioned that humidity levels are on the rise. The number of lightning days on the rise. These heat waves on the rise. We had the 31 90-degree days back in 2018, the most we've ever had. The number of 90-degree days are on the rise. All these things are on the rise, and it's just undeniable unless you just believe that someone's doctoring all of the data. You know,
I want to get on the backside of the dome. He's going to leave me with July 10th. Hope of cooler weather.
There you go.
That's what I'm going to hang on to right now.
All right, you guys, please stay cool. We'll be back again tomorrow. Rod is with you all weekend on Sunrise
on
to get you
Saturday,
updated on these temperatures. Stay safe. Figure out your plan now if you don't have AC, because it's going to get desperate over the weekend. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day.